Hi, welcome to my very first devlog for the game Menhir. You might be thinking, what the heck is a Menhir? And you might not actually be thinking that at all, but regardless, it's a rock. It sometimes has runes on it, sometimes it doesn't. In any case, Menhir has been a passion project of mine for the last year, and it's set in a fantasy world during Viking times. I won't reveal too much more about the setting though, I'd like to keep that for the final product. Let's hope we get there. And don't you worry, all the assets that are currently in the game are so terrible that it won't reveal anything yet. Before we get into the devlog, let me explain what Menhir is from a gameplay perspective. The idea is to make a difficult 4-player co-op game that requires every player to master their personal mechanical skill for their respective class. The feeling I'm trying to capture is, well, think of classic World of Warcraft raiding, or heck even WildStar raiding. If you were one of the 12 people who actually made it to level 50 in WildStar. Rest in peace, WildStar. Continuing where I left off, Menhir is supposed to be a 4-player dungeon crawler-esque game with an overarching storyline. Every battle counts, even on what is considered trash mobs. You'll have to crowd control, handle threat on mobs, heal, aim well and observe enemy behavior, and combine your magic in the right order at the right time. It may sound like a bunch of ideas just slammed together, but I'm 100% certain that combining different games' version of easy to learn, hard to master mechanics can yield an amazing game experience. That is what I'm setting out to try. Now, in Menhir there are 4 classes: Warrior, Support, Ranger and Mage. Each of them have their own gameplay. Warriors being very similar to Age of Chivalry, with the active parrying and directional attack system. Support being another melee class following the Warrior, but also requiring the player being good at handling resources and understanding projectiles. Think of the projectiles from TF2 with Soldier and Demoman. Ranger being a ranged class focused on archery and crowd control. May sound a bit flat, but Ranger also has a stat that forces him to make tough choices during combat. And lastly, Mage, with the magic system being very similar to Magicka, but a lighter, more accessible version that is more suited for first-person gameplay. Enemies and bosses in the game will be designed to require the different classes to play well by themselves, but also in conjunction with other classes. If we look back at WildStar, think of the moments of opportunity that they had there. Today's video will then be covering my attempt at creating the animations for the spells that are available for the mage's first weapon, which is, well, his hands. Yeah, hands, what do you expect? Of course he should be able to cast magic with his fucking hands. The list of spells we need to create animations for are Fireball, Steam Wall, Flamethrower, Drown, Steam Beam, Ice Floor, Lightning Spear, Water Blaze, and... wait, did I say Water Blaze? I meant Water Blades. And then also work in progress title, Burning Ass Gas, which is an ability to just make you dash or move quickly. The main focus of this video is just to create it for the first person view. Alright, so let's get into some more details already. Spell system has already been designed, somewhat, and we need to split all the animations into 3 sections for now. The timing on them will be determined by the play rate inside of Unreal, but the frames will be the same. Mostly. The 3 sections are Wind Up, Holding, and Fire. And Wind Up will be from 0 to 36 frames, Holding will be from 36 to 140 frames, and Firing will be from 140 to 170 frames. That also means that for Wind Up we're giving it 36 frames in total, Holding will be given around 104 frames, and Fire will be given 30 frames, because firing should usually be a quick action. And we can assume that 30 frames is equal to 1 second. Some spells won't work properly this way, since the beam, Steam Beam, needs to be held down while you're firing, and maybe the fire will have to be a longer animation so it just doesn't fire and then suddenly you just have a beam shitting out of you. But we will deal with this later. As with anything that you have little to no understanding of, you start by Googling. Eventually, you will be led down a path where you end up watching a YouTube video with 100 views that was uploaded in 2007 with 5 comments stating that the solution presented in the video didn't actually work. But they did find another solution and they linked it in their comment, but it turns out when you follow the link, it auto-4s, and now you're shit out of luck. But the good thing about Blender, which I'll be using, is that it's free. Meaning there's a high demand for tutorials, so there's a lot of big YouTube channels providing pretty good tutorials. So, it seems that I may understand the tool to an acceptable level now, but I don't quite understand, well, how my hands move, or how hands move, or how the human body moves, actually. So while I was trying to animate a bit, I realized that I had to stare at my own fucking hands, and I've been sitting in front of the screen like a moron trying to find out how my hands actually move, and yeah, it's more difficult than one would imagine. I think it's sort of reminiscent of when you're starting to try out in drawing, and you're trying to draw a tree, and all you can come up with is like this cylinder-shaped shit stain, and you're like, that's not how a tree looks. But I think there's something evolutionary in that we just see it as an obstacle, and then of course we see a cylinder, because that's the amount of effort we want to put into that thought. And yeah, I'm realizing that's the amount of effort I've been putting into understanding how my body moves, or how any body moves. Yeah. So anyway, I started trying to do the steam wall spell, which was the first spell I wanted to work on. And I imagined that, well, you want to pull it out of the ground. And there's a lot of spells like this. I think in Valorant there's already the Ice Wall, and there's Ice Wall in a lot of games, and it's going to be somewhat similar to that. There, they pull it out of the ground, and I was thinking I'll do the same thing, because I'm not very creative, but it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to do the same thing, and when you pull something out of the ground, you want to imagine that it's hard. And how do you simulate that something's hard for you? Well, you're usually shaking if you pull something up that's really heavy, and you're trying to hold in that fart real bad because you're bending down to pick it up, and you're hoping to God that nothing's gonna come out of your ass. So I'm gonna see if I can do something similar to that. So we just prepare, and as you know, we have the 3 phases. We have wind up, we have holding, and then we have fire. And for fire is where I mean, okay, we're gonna fucking yeet it out of the ground. So yeah, let's see if I can pull that off. It's been a while, and I've now finished the animations. Some of them went well, and some of them didn't. One of the spells were even made by my friend. As you can see, animating's definitely not my best skill, but it was absolutely worth trying it out, and hopefully I can hone my skill over time. Well, I realized this devlog was kinda odd. It wasn't much about programming, more about animation and trying to be an introduction to the project. For the next devlog, I'll be actually doing particles and programming for every spell, so that should be interesting. Making these kinds of videos is completely new to me as well, so apologies if I lost you somewhere along the way, and if you have any advice, please let me know. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I have a full-time job, but I try to dedicate as much time to this project as I can muster, so bear with me if there's long delays between videos and updates. If you're interested in following my progress though, please hit the subscribe button. And best of luck to you on your own endeavors, and see you later.